Hello everyone, my name is Ruchir Gandhi and today I am going to present Chapter 9 Process Aware Information Systems. I'm going to put a link to this video in the slide, so in future if anyone want to access it, you can access it through this. Well, for today's presentation, the agenda is introduction, types of process aware information systems. It consists of three subtopics: domain specific process aware information system, business process management systems, architecture of a PMS, and second topic is advantages of introducing to a BPMS, which consists of workload reduction, flexible system integration, execution transparency, rule enforcement. And the third topic is challenges of introducing a BPMS, which consists of technical challenges and organizational challenges. Well, introduction. So first of all, let's begin with a process aware information system. So what is a process aware information system? Well, so as you can read in the slide, and I would explain it in more clear way. A process aware information system is a software system that manages and executes operational process involving people, application, and or information sources on the basis of process models. And in this, the examples are PAIS and our workflow management systems, case handling systems, and enterprise information systems. And today we are going to see and have in-depth knowledge of all this in furthermore slides. Well, types of process aware information systems. So there are mainly two types: domain specific process aware information systems and business process management systems. Domain specific process aware information systems. So what is a domain specific process aware systems? So it is divided into four different types, which consist of enterprise resource planning, which is also known as ERP. Another one is customer relationship management, CRM, supply chain management systems, SCM, and project life cycle management systems, PLM. But the first is enterprise resource planning systems. So a specific kind of process automation which interests us and we'll learn about is the enterprise resource planning. So there are different types of information systems that we consider and are process aware. Well, the process aware information systems, PAIS, also kind of consist of enterprise resource planning. So in this system provides essential and generic business functionality, which is required to across various industries. And the core modules of ERP are the controlling human resource management and the production management. And the two most important process of ERP can be described as the procedure to pay and order to cash process. Another one is customer relationship management systems. And this system supports marketing and sales process that directly interact with customers, both on an individual and an aggregated level. So this system supports certain type of integrated and aggregated level of relationship. And at the heart of CRM system is an extensive database that provides information on existing and prospective customers. So many CRM systems integrate data mining techniques to help with customer segmentation. And one of the most important process supported by CRM systems are campaign to leads and order to lead. So through which we are able to kind of maintain and exhibit customer relationship management systems. Next is supply chain management systems. So this system focus on support of logistic operations that integrate with suppliers and customers. And on an operational level, supply chain management systems support the management uh, and the transportation. It also consists of some of kind of inbounds and outbound warehousing, storage, and as well as the inventory. And one of the most key functional of this is that it is a kind of a calculational process. So on a technical level, I would say like CMS supports electronic data interchange with suppliers and customers, as well as various tracking technologies. And I would say the uh, key supply chain process are order to deliver and a return to refund. So this consists of supply chain management, which also kind of exhibits order to deliver and return to refund. The another one is the project life cycle management, PLM systems. So PLM system supports the various process of life cycle of a product from an engineering perspective. So we are going to understand this life cycle from a perspective of an engineering, which includes conception and design phase in which a product is specified and designed, as well as it is also validated. So in the relation phase, the manufacturing system is planned and actual products are built. So using the PLM systems, which we can say is kind of an idea to launch and different types of order process, including build to order, engineer to order, and which also consists of assemble to order. Next is the business process management systems. So a business process management system is a system that supports design, analysis, execution, and monitoring of business process on the basis of explicit process model. And there are different types of business process management model which are used, but I would say one of the originate and the older types of the process management is known as workflow management system. So which is focused on modeling and execution, and did not kind of very well supported the other phases of the BPM life cycle. So for that, the BPM life cycle proposed is to coordinate an automated business process in which all the other work is done by the right time and by the right resources. Well, I can explain this in a very easy language, which would make you more clear. Like to explain how a BPMS accomplishes the work which is assigned to it. It is useful in such a way that BPMS is in some way, or I would say in similar to database management system. So BPMS can be kind of be equally kind of we can say that it is same as or compared to database management systems. Well, in the diagram, as you can see that there are certain parts in which it is shown. One of the first is explicitly structured, implicitly structured, and ad hoc structure. And this is kind of a representation in such a way that you can see a production flow systems, case handling, and groupware systems, so which are all interconnected with to each other and have a data driven and process driven. The in in process management system there is also it is also divided into 4 parts. As you can see, it's group aware systems, ad hoc workflow systems, production workflow systems, and case management systems. So it is also depended on this in these 4 systems, and they all work accordingly and which are interconnected to each other, through which we are able to understand and work on the business process management systems. The first one is group aware systems. So to understand group aware systems, there are firstly two underlying principles of this, which is like first is easily share documents and information, and another is directly communicate with the users. So in group aware systems, the first you can you one of the advantages is like you can easily share the information and the documentation, and after that through which you are directly able to communicate with the users. So the best known example for group aware system is IBM Notes. Well, group aware systems are widely used and particularly popular for the high operational flexibility. So, I would say like group aware systems traditionally do not directly support business process in a strict sense, but however, several commercial group aware systems offer workflow extensions. So, through which it makes our work pretty easy. Ad hoc, workflow system. Now, workflow system is like I would say it allows you to on the fly process definition and can be created and modified. Now, even when there is already a process defined to deal with a specific case type, it is possible to adopt the process during the execution, and through which we can work accordingly. And all the for example, by adding steps. On the technical level, these systems often maintain a private process definition for each case in order to offer this flexibility. So this means like working on a case might even kind of start from a completely empty process definition, and which is kind of extended as it becomes clear when ends to happen and in other order. The combination of these requirements restricts the application of these systems at certain point. Now, the next is production workflow system. The product One of the most prominent type of BPM is the production workflow system. The typical representatives are IBM's business process management, and I would say a much as of which is described as in BPM, the work is kind of routed strictly to the basis of explicitly defined process definition and captured in process modules. So the management of kind of operational data is typically handled by the complementary DBMS, so database management systems. And as we seen earlier, like we can definitely compare BPMS to DBMS. And sometimes two types of administrative and transactional processes, BPMS, are distinguished based on the degree of automation of the work that is coordinated and kind of the work is done by them. Now, the next is a case management system. Well, the idea behind a case management system is to support process that are neither tightly nor completely specified. And on the basis of such awareness, the system is also able to inform end users about the status and history of a case. So, well, I would say like as well as the most obvious steps to continue with this is we're gonna work on a kind of a case management software, and there is also, if we want or we desire kind of a support or production workflow approach, then it's gonna make a sense. Then in that sense, a hybrid BPMS will be formed. So there are two types of systems that often integrate characteristics and functionality of BPMS. But in case management systems, the document management systems primarily take care of the storage and retrieval of documents like scans and PDF, which are definitely one of the most important part of the workflow. Now, next is the architecture of business process management. Well, in this diagram, you can see that the business process management is defined and kind of structured in different parts through which it is all interconnected to each other. As you can see, like execution logs, administration, and monitoring tools, which is connected to execution engine, and the execution engine is connected to process model repository, and it is connected to process modeling tool, and all this structure is connected to a kind of external service. So hence we can say that it is all interconnected with each other, and which depends on each other and makes the work more easy. Now the process modeling tool of Bonita BPM. As you can see in the diagram, like the process modeling tool also consists of certain completely needed structures. Like first, as we can say, we can start and complete the quotation, after through which is connected to update request after receiving the quotation. And whenever an update or request is received, we are definitely going to review all the questionnaires and select the suppliers, and after through which we are if the certain needs are fulfilled, we are going to go to the end user and kind of allow it for the succeed, or we're going to abort the request. Next is work list handler of Chamunda BPM. Well, as you can see in this as well, then there is a provide. It all depends on the data of the which is provided, and this consists of payment, and as worklist handler, we typically support a process participant in, would say, like kind of a temporarily suspending work items or passing on control or to someone else, right? At that time, like a BPMS is questioned and its specific configuration are used. So it is fairly common to customize workplace handlers. For example, according to corporate design, which I've shown in the figure, and it's gonna use a worklist handler of Chamunda BPM. Next is the model of claims handling process at ACN. Well, building on the explanation of kind of a BPMS architecture, as we have seen that the first activity in this process is an assessment of the claim, which is done by the senior acceptor or a kind of a regular acceptor. Now, it all depends upon the more value claimed by the accessed or by the senior acceptors. Well, for example, in a case of negative assessment, if the responsibility of the account manager to convey the kind of a bad news to the customer. So at that period of time, we're gonna use the case of ACNS. And as you can see in the diagram, there are kind of two sub parts, I would say, like the procedure that specifies the various activities, and another one is kind of the various participants who are involved in carrying out these activities. Next is the advantages of introducing BPMS. So there are definitely a lot of advantages in introducing a BPM, and definitely there are some kind of disadvantages. But at this point, we are going to only discuss about the advantages about the BPMS. So it is also categorized in 4 parts, which is workload reduction, flexible system integration, execution transparency, and rule enforcement. Workload reduction. Well, a BPMS automates part of work that is done by people in settings where such a system is not in the place. So, as the name suggests, workload reduction, it is definitely gonna take care of that part, and I would say like it helps in, and it will take care of transporting work itself. So there is no kind, not none of kind of manual work which we need to do. The system will definitely you would be doing that part by transporting the work itself. So, for example, in a paper-based organization, work is usually transported by internal postal services, often kind of delaying the process for one work or kind of a handing off the work to the other participants. But all such delays are completely kind of eradicated when a BPMS can be used to dispatch work items electronically. Hence, it makes your work more faster, and there is definitely a kind of a deadline approachment when you are working on certain projects. It definitely helps in this part, and the time BPMS will at all the times be able to signal the status of the work items, and it can take it and kind of actions to ensure the program is is kind of being done completely according as planned. The second is flexible system integration. Well, originally the most popular argument to start with the BPMS was the increased flexibility that organizations achieve with this technology. Well, I can explain it to explain it in the best way is a kind of a short reflection of a history of kind of a computer application is due. In that period of time, what we're gonna do and how we gonna overcome the challenges, and for that also the flexibleness is definitely important. And at that period of time, flexible system integration comes in work. Well, the introduction of BPM is kind of a logical sequence for the flexible systems integration, and the typical kind of information process as in the context relates to the identification of activities, their order and execution, or kind of a participants who's gonna carry out them. So to be more precise, for example, it would be specified that after a mortgage offering was completed, what kind of specific task need to be done. So for example, this is needed to be kind of a signal to the manager of the department, and kind of triggering a signal on his or her monitor. So it's definitely gonna keep in touch with the other systems, and as shown earlier in the diagram, all the systems are kind of interly related to each other, through which it's gonna make it more easy to work. Now, the next is execution transparency. An advantage that is often overlooked is that kind of a BPMS can operate as a treasure trove. I would say, like with respect to the way that business processes are really executed. So, so to be sure enough, or would say like to be on more exact side, we have a BPMS operate at all, and it must keep track of kind of what work items which we are doing. So this can only be determined by actively monitoring with work items, and can have been completely resourced at the time new cases or the processes are introduced. So there are two types of information that can be used to generate business insights from BPMS, which is operational information and historic information. Like the word suggests, operational information relates to recent running cases, and the historic information is kind of related to the completed cases. Now, the next one is rule enforcement. Now, except for the obvious advantages that a business process could be executed more efficiently by using a BPMS, well, such a system will also ensure that the process is carried out in precisely the way it should have been designed, or and the way it should be go through. Well, when it's such kind of well, to ensure such kind of process, certain rule sets are need to be followed. So I would say like for that reason, a rule enforcement is kind of an advantage for BPMS. And for I would say like for an new illustration, consider a separation of duties control that is very known in a financial service domain. So it means that the registration and the inspection of a financial transaction will need to be carried out by different individuals. So this type of logic is kind of both quite easily implemented and enforced in a BPMS. But there's one thing to note in that is kind of a BPMS is in general sufficiently kind of sophisticated so the employees can alternately fulfill the registering and the inspecting role of different cases, but definitely a certain rule set will be followed and will be implemented on such type uh, I would say like on certain executions. Now, as you can see in the diagram, like what the benefits of project management kind of reduces cost, enables the transformation of business models, helps companies remain competitive, increased standardization of process, improves mobility and agility, helps identify new customer demands, increases productivity, better retention of customers, increase in cross-department collaboration, and reduced risk and time stage. So that's I would say these are the main 10 advantages of the business project management, apart from the one which I discussed, and through which it kind of helps the process work more smoothly and more efficiently. Now, as we all know that while introducing certain things, there are definitely certain challenges which we are going to face. But definitely, all the challenges can be overcome through certain six skill sets. But the two main challenges which we are going to face is kind of a technical challenge and the organizational challenge. Now, what is technical challenge? So a technical challenge is a challenge that can be addressed with existing expertise, protocols, and operationals. So, as we saw earlier, like certain rule sets and rule enforcement will be carried out. So, definitely, if there is kind of a challenge, we can work through that challenges using that rule set and kind to overcome that. And implementing solutions to technical challenges often falls to someone with authority to address them. So it is not kind of like anyone or will be able to kind of work on and implement whatever necessary changes they need to take, but it's definitely gonna go through some hierarchy, like a technique that has been used to make interaction like at all possible with such legacy system, and which is also known as kind of a screen scraping, like the interaction between a DBMS and the mainframe application and takes place on the level of the user interface. So at that period of time, also a we are addressing technical challenges, and these solutions are solutions which we could come through after these challenges are kind of straightforward, and the experts within the organization can usually address them without consulting the rest of the company. A specific problem that occurs with respect to kind of interaction of existing application with BPMS is kind of a lack of process awareness of traditional systems. So in process aware systems, separate cases will be handled separately. And in, I would say in other words, kind of such a systems work will be created and which will work through case by case. So at that period of time, we're gonna work on that, and we're gonna work through it step by step and case by case. Uh, as you can see in the figure, like technical challenges can be understood like by the workflow model, event modeler, event storage, and which are all are interconnected. So even if there is kind of a one challenge at one particular point of time or event, and we are not able to handle it or address it, it's gonna mess up our whole process. So that is the reason, like technical challenge is unfortunately in the area kind of system integration, and the much progress has been kind of made in past decades to overcome such kind of challenges. The next is organizational challenges. Well, BPMS can be challenging from an organizational perspective, but this implies that the introduction of BPMS can be challenging on certain perspectives, and interest of kind of different stakeholders have to be balanced, and a certain kind of organizational work or organization must be maintained. So to maintain that kind of organizational work, it is known as kind of a organizational challenge. The factor adds that adds to this complexity is kind of organizations are dynamic entries. It is fairly usual that during the introduction of a BPMs, kind of a which may span a couple of months, organizational rules change, and the departments are also kind of interly connected and work through which, and definitely certain types of challenges will be occurred. And the but to solve such kind of challenges, kind of a perspective on the perspective of the users, the introduction of BPMS should be considered more carefully. So through which kind of most process participants will first need to expertise hands on what it is to use and BPMS. Well, it will definitely, or I would say, really appreciate what that means for their job. So there may also be concerns and fears, but for there might be a kind of certain hierarchy taking care of that. Well, to sum up, I would say like the introduction of BPMS is particularly complex and precisely set up, and which is supported by entire business process. It is for definitely a good reason that it is used research into IT project identification and strong management commitments are made through this. So it is definitely gonna help in working in project box, and I would say that the points of principles that may project to introduce and the BPMS should be considered, which will definitely make a organizational challenge and address our organizational challenge more effectively. That's the end of my presentation, and thank you for watching. And if you have any kind of questions, do drop them down in the comment box, and I will definitely try to address them. Thank you and have a good day.